Hello, everyone. Happy Friday. I hope you're all doing well and that your 2026 is off to a great start. We're so excited to have you all with us today. And as you're joining, we want to make this interactive, so please feel free to introduce yourself in the chat. Let us know who you are, where you're zooming in from, how old your kids are, and what made you curious to join today. We're going to have a smaller group and we want to make this interactive. Small groups are our favorite. This doesn't have to be a webinar you're sitting through. Please react throughout, ask questions in the chat. You can speak up live now and introduce yourself, or react live during the Q&A at the end. We're so happy to have you all joining us today. And to kick us off with introductions, I'm Jules. I started at Curious Cardinals as a mentor when I was a student at Northwestern, and now I get to support our parent community full time. I'm joined by Sophie on our team. She's a former teacher, and she now leads our family admissions team. So if you sign up for a call after this, she's the person you would speak to. She has smiling energy, and she is the best at finding the perfect mentor for your kids. And we're so lucky and grateful to have Opal with us today. She's an amazing parent support specialist and communication expert, and I will let her introduce herself and share her background.
Oh, thanks. Hi. Good morning, everybody. Happy 2026. Ready for the year of the horse. The year of the snake was a lot of shedding. My name is Opal. I'm a parent support specialist here at King Cove, which is a youth mental wellness practice in Los Angeles. I am also, I have my own practice where I'm an NLP. So my work is in the magic and the space of neurolinguistics, where our inner personal dialogue subconsciously or outer dialogue with connections and relationships in our lives, how they really form our reality and how to refine it so we can have the life we want.
Awesome. Love it. We're so happy to have you with us here. And again, as I said, when people were joining, please introduce yourself in the chat. Raya, we're so happy to have you here. We love the North California representation. Our team is based in San Francisco. Opal is also a Californian, further down south in SoCal in the LA area, but we're so happy to have everyone here with us. And we will kick us off and get us started. Um, so today we are talking about how you can kickstart the new year and help your child own their growth in 2026. We just shared our introductions. And to introduce Curious Cardinals, who we are and what we do, we are a one-on-one mentorship platform, and we connect K through 12 students with near-peer mentors from top universities to help them set goals, stay accountable, and follow through, developing really cool passion projects with tangible outcomes. And we will share more and examples of what that actually looks like. But before we do that, I want to share how we came to be and what our founding story is. So we were founded 5 years ago by Audrey and Alec when they were students at Stanford. Audrey got sent home because of the pandemic and she started tutoring kids online. And she noticed that they were disengaged, regurgitating what they were reading for Friday's test, but their learning wasn't connecting to things that really mattered to them. And so she started personalizing their learning, and one student asked for math help, and she wasn't as passionate about math. So she called Alec, the Stanford aerospace engineer, and instead of drilling math equations, Alec showed the students how math makes airplanes fly. And that's when it clicked for them that learning should be fun, it should be personalized, it should be connected to students' interests, and they started recruiting their most passionate peers from Stanford, and what began as Audrey mentoring one student has grown into a relationship with thousands of students. And over the past 5 years, we've been so lucky to work with more than 10,000 students, and we have a network of over 700 active mentors on our platforms. These are Rhodes Scholars, presidents of clubs, the best of the best, the most inspiring people that your kids can work with and learn from. And we are excited to share a little bit more about what that looks like today. Um, but if you're like, okay, that's great that you came to be, but what do you actually do? How does this actually work? Curious Cardinals, the model of who we are and what we do, we match students. So someone like Sophie meets with you and asks lots of questions about your kid, and we match them with a mentor based on their interests, their personality, subject matter expertise. So if you have a kid who loves Taylor Swift and plays volleyball and needs to learn about biochem, we might match them with a Stanford volleyball mentor who also loves Taylor Swift and can teach them chemistry in a really engaging way. The second kind of pillar of our experience is structure. Every session has a framework. Mentors help students set SMART goals, which means that they're clear, achievable, time bound, and so the progress your student makes doesn't feel vague or invisible, and you have visibility into what's happening. And third, consistency. Our students meet with their mentors every week, and that's where we see the real change happens, week after week, putting in the work. And at the end of the day, our goal really is to help students connect with their learning, not just for Friday's test, but to really love what they're doing and feel inspired by it. And so if you're wondering, what does this mean for my kid? What can they do? We have two main tracks. We have academic mentorship, which is like tutoring, except we don't call it tutoring. We say tutoring is the T word because it has a connotation of being transactional, and this is about so much more than Friday's test. We want to help kids build confidence and resilience, develop study strategies, and so it's not just about getting an A, but it's about making their learning matter to them. And then our most popular track is our passion project track, and there's kind of four main avenues students can go within that. And that looks like developing a portfolio or publishing research, launching an organization, or doing some content creation. Maybe you have a future podcaster on your hands. And then kind of the add-ons, the supplementary support. We have executive functioning support, which helps kids learn time and task management and improve their focus and reduce the procrastination and all the things that nagging parents want support with. Um, and then we have pathfinding. So if your kid comes to us and they want to do a cool project, but they don't yet know exactly what they want to do, which is totally normal and fine because your 12-year-old doesn't need to know exactly what they want to do. Our team can help them figure out their passion excavation process, which we will talk a little bit about later, but we want to help them figure out what they want to do. And so why start now? 2026, as Opal said, it's the year for us to go after our goals. So I will hand it over to her to talk a little bit about what this looks like and why now is a time to starting the new year with good intentions and um, not letting them fade because we know resolutions are easy to set, but we want to help you stick to them.
Thanks, Jules. So a little bit about why I'm connected to Curious Cardinals, and I'm a big fan. Um, so yes, I've mentioned I'm in neurolinguistics. I have a practice, but first and foremost, I'm a parent. I have two kids myself, and at this now it's a preteen and a teen. So for all of you parents of teens out there, let's stand strong together. It's actually amazing. It's my favorite phase. And I always, when I work with parents, I always kind of love to touch base on how before we had our babies, and even when we were pregnant, or even before we were pregnant, we had this concept and idea of what it would be like to have this soul and have an impact on it and see its potential and guide it through this beautiful path that we'll walk through together. And we had these snippets and concepts in our mind of like, sitting together on a bench and having an ice cream, walking hand in hand, telling them all of our wisdom and have it form these beautiful little, creatures that we're sending out into the world to make an amazing impact. And then we have children. And we see that some of this lands, but a lot of it doesn't. And you see this potential in your child. You want to guide it with all the wisdom and every experience you've had, but not own, and there are many elements for why sometimes that fumbles, and we will go through them. And I love guiding people through it because there are ways to get around it. But there's also just a biological factor of it, which at some point kids are programmed, their subconscious is programmed to break away from the parents, from the tone, the voice, the advice. They say, humanity wouldn't be here if kids didn't want to brave a saber-toothed tiger versus stay in the cave and hang out with mom by the fire. So there is something in them that at some point, no matter how great our advice is, we are no longer the guidance and inspiration. And they are programmed to seek it elsewhere. And some of us are very, very lucky with an incredible support system of family members and people that you trust that share the same values and goals. And some of us less so fortunate, and our kids will seek it elsewhere. And it's sometimes friends, social circles. Hopefully, they have teachers and people who are beautiful mentors in their lives. But how beautiful is it if you get to also cast and invite a mentor into your child's life that you value the path they've taken and that you would love for them to inspire your child and for your child's nervous system and subconscious be able to hear them differently and usher them into the great potential that you see in them. So, this is why I love what Curious Cardinals do, and why I'm a fan, and why I love also jumping on call, because I think parents are, we all have the best of intentions with our children, but we also have a lot of missing pieces in just parenting and trying to have an impact on somebody else's life that I love bringing into light, such as sometimes energy, sometimes mindset, sometimes understanding the nervous system, and also how a child may perceive what you're trying to communicate, even with the best of intentions. So, this is what I do. And some of the work we will do here today is answer questions, because it's nuances, different families, different nervous system, different temperament. I can usually empower anybody with the right tools to kind of refine and adjust the dynamics at home so communication lands better. I do that with individuals, with married couples, and I do that with parents. Um, and there are lots of little hacks and tricks and things that we can do so we can be aligned with what our intention is and how it actually lands with our children.
Love
Do
it.
you?
Thank you for that. That was beautiful.
Oh, thanks.
Um,
Do you want me to go into the language of invitation, or we'll do that
Why
according
don't we can
to?
do that a little bit later on. And
Okay,
for now, I'll
great.
share kind of a student story and I'll let you share that after that, if that's okay.
Beautiful.
All
Thanks.
right. So I will share Rose. Rose is a student who came to us, and she built an amazing profitable jewelry business. And I want to show you how and what that process actually looked like. So we have what we call our magic project formula, and we take a child's interest and we think about what their superpowers are and what they want to put out into the world, and we turn it into a project. And so Rose came to us and we asked her what she was interested in, and she loved fashion and jewelry, and she was the girliest girly girl, and she's so fun. And she was like, I like fashion. What can I do with that? And we asked her, what are your superpowers? What are you good at? And she has a natural ability to influence. Her friends listen to what she has to say. People love her recommendations. And we told her that she could turn that into selling, into marketing, and develop out this skill. And so she met with her mentor Phoebe, who was the president of the fashion club at Brown, and is an amazing mentor now working in the fashion industry. And Phoebe helped Rose turn her project into a profitable jewelry business. She had $10,000 in sales last year. She's partnered with Love Shack Fancy. She's done amazing, incredible things. And it sounds great in process, but the real reason this happens, the way a kid unlocks this journey, is by meeting with someone consistently, having that accountability buddy who can inspire them and saying, "Oh my gosh, Phoebe's working at Louis Vuitton in Paris. That's what I want to do someday. How can I get there?" And then meeting with her and saying, "I like jewelry and my friends listen to me. How can I turn these into real skills that I can actually use?" And our mentors really are the best of the best. They are presidents of clubs, they are Rhodes Scholars, and we hand match them to your kid and to their interest. And we love doing that. It is our bread and butter. It is how we came to be. And beyond just the Fulbright, Stanford, Yale, Rhodes Scholar logo, these are relatable, kind humans who are best suited to engage with and inspire your kids. They're just a few years ahead of them, and they remember what it feels like to be in high school or to be in middle school, and that makes such a big difference. And our team supports them with training and all the different tools that they need, but they really are the best of the best. I'm inspired by them every single day. This is Natachi. Natachi studied political science, creative writing, and African American studies at Stanford. She is a Fulbright scholar doing journalistic reporting with National Geographic in Africa. So amazing. This is Andy. Andy studied theater at Northwestern. He graduated summa cum laude, and he has ADHD, and he wants to work with students who can see him as an older brother figure and see even with ADHD, you can still achieve amazing things. And here's what that path looks like. And he is there to be that relatable figure for your kids. Um, and you're probably thinking, reliable college students, are you sure about that? I promise we are. We have a very competitive and selective process where we thoroughly vet all of our mentors. They go through onboarding and support from our team, which has Stanford and Harvard Graduate School of Education people backing them. So we have real people who actually understand learning and learning design. As Sophie is one of our former teachers on our team, can attest to the fact that we have scaffolding in place so that our college students really can do what they do best. They have the subject matter expertise and they are that relatable figure for your kids. And we give them access to our amazing learning curriculum and we send feedback. So all of our sessions are recorded for privacy and security, but they're also recorded so that we can let our mentors know how they're doing and let them know what they could be doing better, which is super awesome to see. And I will quickly share kind of my own mentoring journey. So as I shared when I did my introduction, I started at Curious Cardinals as a mentor when I was a student at Northwestern, and I've mentored students in English and in photography and lots of different things, but I will share two standout stories. So if you have a middle schooler, one of my favorite students who I still work with right now, I've been working with her for the past couple years. She's currently in eighth grade. Her name's Estelle, and she is lives in Miami. And when we started meeting, she was not doing very well in her English class. She skipped the summer reading and kind of snowballed from there. And when we started meeting, she was failing. But by the end of the year, she had an A, not just in English, but in all of her classes. And beyond the grades, it's not just that she learned how to do well in English, she connected her learning to what mattered for her. So the way I got her to care about her reading was by making analogies to Taylor Swift and Gossip Girl and Olivia Rodrigo. And every single thing, I kid you not, it was like, here's why you need to read Shakespeare, and here's Shakespeare's themes in your favorite episode of the OC. And it was that what unlocked it. And now this past summer, she read her summer reading book early on her own, texted me in July, said, "Hey Jules, I read the book. I can't wait to talk about it." She reached out proactively to schedule her sessions. I didn't have to nag her and say, "Hey Estelle, how's it going? Have you done your reading yet?" And then she walked into her first day of school prepared and confident, ready to know what was going on, and she's carried that with her throughout the fall. She has started saying, "I actually really like the books that I'm reading in class. This is going really well. This is really interesting," which is so rewarding. And then on the flip side, I've worked with really highly motivated students. So I helped a student named Bethany prepare for her AP Lang test last year. She got a 5, and now she's headed to Duke. I've helped other students with their portfolio building and photography related work, and they're at Stanford and Northwestern, and they're amazing. So we have so many students in our network, but I'm going to hand it over to Opal to speak to you about why this outside support can be helpful and how to introduce it to your kids.
Thank you, Jules, again. So the one thing about Curious Cardinals that we were discussing is that us as adults, we can absolutely see the benefit, the gift in bringing this to our children's lives. But just like many other things that we know are exceptional for our children and could make such a huge impact, it's about um, ownership. So when any person owns an idea, a concept, a goal, their entire relationship with the process is very different than when they are just acquiescing, when they're just kind of complying to it. So there was this fine art and space that we discussed about how do we empower parents with the right tools and the right language to guide the kids to bring them to the table. Of course, past that point, the mentors will take it, and there's an entire relationship that is formed beautifully that grows between the child and the mentor. But to get them there in a position where they are feeling like it's more of an invested ownership on their end, and this is something that they're open to, versus just complying with. And of course it depends, and it's the nuance of the family. And I work with families because different children, there are different communication, there's different boundaries, there's different things that we may need to kind of massage around. So I'll keep things really, really general and universal, but then we can look into it deeper depending on the questions also in the chat. But first and foremost, and that applies honestly to everything I'm talking about, all your relationships, in everybody in your life, not just your children, but especially your children. Your children are co-regulating creatures. So they will sense your energy uh, behind your words before they even hear your words. So if we're approaching them with any sort of invitation or any sort of a suggestion, I would say the first and most important thing is to really ground where you are energetically. And sometimes we're so invested in the outcome and how we want the child to buy into something that we're really not even present to the dialogue and the invitation, because there's all this pressure that is coming underneath for us and for them, and for how is this going to go down. Now, this is where a lot of the nervous system work comes in. Anything that involves nervousness and that involves pressure, the co-regulating nervous system of the other person interprets as danger. Their brain, our brain, everybody's brain is programmed to constantly, all day long, basically just process the world and scan for danger. And it is highly sensitive to anything that it interprets as danger. So if they're sensing a tone, if they're sensing anything that's pressure, the immediate response, well, it's a fight or flight. So it's cortisol, it's nervousness. So it would either be resistance, or it would be compliance, because we do have the children that do just that go into compliance because they don't want to disappoint the parents, they don't want to get into any conflict. So we do have that, or we have resistance. But both of those really don't land us where we want to land with our invited audience when we're wanting to put our kids on something that could be an amazing potential and a possible buddy to inspire them in life. So energy, first and foremost, because we want to make sure that we're in a good grounded place when the invitation comes out. Also, changing the personal mindset of the parent, which kind of goes into what I said earlier about being very tied to the outcome. It's a lot about just being very open to, we want to keep curiosity alive in our children. Yes, we want them to function really, really well. We want executive functioning to get on board. Sometimes we're not very patient with the development schedule of it because it's very frustrating. Sometimes our children look older than they actually are developmentally, and subconsciously we're expecting them to have more things online that are just not there yet. But so a lot of it is really just about maintaining open curiosity in a non-perceived danger zone for children. We just want them to explore. We want them to be open to suggestions and ideas before they start the internal dialogue of what everything means about them and their identity. Most importantly, and which is why I'm very passionate about my parent work, is because kids are creating their identity. And their identity happens from how their brain interprets a lot of the energy and dialogue that is happening between them and their adult mentors or parents or caregivers. So if you are open, just open to a no, when you're giving them an invitation, it already resets your nervous system differently, that the intensity that could perceive as danger in somebody else's nervous system would be reduced. So it's very weird. It has nothing to do with the child. It has to do with a parent mindset going in, the energy, and just being open to it. Because remember, even if you give them the space to resist, to say no to something right now, if the invitation was not threatening, they could come right back to it the next day, the next week, and just be like, by the way, that thing, is that offer still standing? So be open to that. Also, autonomy. Children, as they're developing, they are seeking autonomy. Their brain is seeking that level of control and independence. So it's beautiful if you also offer them and empower them when they're open to meeting with a mentor for the first time with things that are within their power, such as um, you can stop the meeting whenever you feel like it. It could be for as long as you would like. You can ask them whichever questions you're interested in asking with. Give them a little bit more of the power where they don't feel like they're showing up to something that is going to be assessing them or that is going to be interviewing them. It's more about giving them the position of the interviewer. It opens them a lot more subconsciously, nervous system wise. It just makes it a lot more of a curious process for them versus why am I going through this? What is it that you guys are trying to figure out about me? We want to reduce that as much as possible. So really in all dialogue with children, if it starts feeling like some sort of an assessment or an interview, you're probably better off just stopping, pausing, and trying again another time. If it's anything where it's a dialogue, an invitation, a curiosity, and an empowerment for the child, you're on the right track and you're probably setting it up for success. Again, little nuances that will completely change depending on the child and what they're like. Because we also have the kids that are just like, yeah, absolutely. Um, with kids that do want to know why. Why do we want to do this? Um, really keeping it short, keeping it simple, because sometimes it's really cool to talk to somebody who is not that much older than you, not like mom older, not like dad older, but they're young and they're college and they're cool and they're interested in the same stuff that you're interested in. So you can ask them what it looks like over there and just see if you like them. And that's it. I think sometimes when we try to sell and when we push and we push and we push and we kind of extend the dialogue, it ends up being faultier than what our intention was. So those are kind of the general ideas, and then we can do nuances depending on questions that people ask.
Awesome. Love it. Well, with that, I will hand it over to Sophie to share how you would put that language of invitation into action if you are hearing all of this and you're ready to share it with your kids, and she can share a little bit more about how to get started.
Thank you, Jules. Thank you, Paul. So just to recap our impact a bit, our impact is constantly growing. We've taught over 60 hours of mentorship with over 1,000 mentors in our network and reached over 10,000 students. Again, that's growing every day. If all of this sounds good and you're ready to get started, let's talk a bit more concretely on what it looks like and how this works. Students will be meeting with their mentors weekly. So you're meeting with your mentor for 1 hour every single week. That's always, of course, one-on-one mentorship. After every single session, parents will receive detailed session notes on what the student covered with their mentor, what their strengths and areas for improvement are, what the plan for upcoming sessions is. This is especially helpful for parents of teenagers who give one word answers when they come home from school. You also receive monthly and quarterly reports on their progress. And all of this is to help set goals and have a clear picture of what your students are working on. Um, if you are ready to get started with all of this is how you're going to sign up. The first step in our process is speaking with our family admissions team. So that includes me and some of our colleagues. Um, the call is going to be 30 minutes long. I, of course, want to ask questions about your students' academics and extracurriculars, but I also want to hear what your student gravitates towards when they have free time and no one's telling them what to do. I want to know what topics they can't stop talking about at the dinner table. What their personality is and what qualities they're looking for in an ideal mentor. I want to hear what your goals for mentorship are and what's going to make this a worthwhile experience. That will give us all the information we need to make a personalized mentor match. So I'll work with our education team, and we know our mentors, we know their track records, the types of students they've worked with, the types of projects they've supported. So we'll take all of that information and make an excellent mentor match. And get you started with your weekly sessions. What I'll also add is that we have a 2-week evaluation period. So the first 2 weeks are dedicated to assessing if the mentor is the right fit. If the personalities click, if for whatever reason it's not the right fit, we would rematch you with a new mentor. So we can flesh out all those details on our consultation call, but I hope you all will schedule a call with our family admissions team.
And I will let Sophie share the link to schedule a call in the chat, and we will start answering questions. Love to see questions coming in, and I will just go through, and I know I responded to this question in the chat, but I will kind of talk through the age range and demographics. So we work with K through 12 students. We see it all. Rose, the example that I shared, was a 9th grader when she was working with us, but we have seen kids from 5 to 18, and we love working with a wide variety of students. So yes, we can work with your 9-year-old on their passion project and starting a business. I will share that this past summer we hosted a timeless skills pitch competition, and we had hundreds of students submit, and we selected 12 finalists. One of the finalists was an incoming freshman at Harvard, and one of the finalists was a rising 3rd grader. And he was so amazing and so impressive. His name is Armand. He invented a copper bar of soap that doesn't need water, doesn't expire, never runs out, and it's perfect for developing countries where water is scarce and it's harder to get resources. And he did experiments with his Stanford mentor, and he had his petri dishes in his living room. He's so adorable and precious and inspiring. And he got an honorable mention because he held his own with the Harvard freshmen. And we are bringing back our pitch competition, and we are going to break it up into K through 8 and 9 through 12, and you could have your 5-year-old or 8-year-old or however old the kids are. I'm seeing 11, I'm seeing 9. So we are here to support all the different students, and all of their different ideas. And yes, we have, for students who come to us and they don't know what they want to do yet, and they know I am interested in business, that is what we are perfect for. And I will let Sophie kind of speak to what that process of pathfinding and passion excavation looks like.
Yeah, so pathfinding is absolutely something we can support with. You don't need to come to your first session knowing exactly what you're interested in, exactly what type of project you want to work on. What the student and the mentor will discuss in their first couple sessions is exploring what are you most interested in? What are you most excited about? What project medium might be most exciting to you? What audience do you want to bring your project to? What timeline are we working on? Putting together all these factors to build out a project that makes sense for your specific student.
Love it. Um, and then yes, your student can definitely work with someone for a long period over the course. We've had some students and mentors work with their mentor for many, many years. Sometimes it's shorter stints. But Audrey's first student who she worked with from 8th grade all the way till senior year of high school, and that student is now a sophomore at Cornell, and she has 3 mentees of her own. And so we really do want to prioritize long-term matches. and we want this to be a long-term relationship. So we do have mentors who are in grad school, who are getting their PhD, who are recent grads. We also have mentors who are, if your student, let's say in 8th grade, they want to work on a business project, and in 9th grade, they need writing support, and in 10th grade, they want to start a art portfolio. We can match them with different mentors throughout their journey. And so we have, you know, we have such a breadth of mentors in our network, so we can find the perfect person to help your child at every stage. Um, and yes, when you meet with someone like Sophie, you get to share kind of what you're looking for. And that's everything from the gender of the mentor to your kid's interests and finding a mentor who aligns with those interests. Or if your child has a dream school and they want to go to Stanford, we can try to find them someone who goes to Stanford. Um, and Sophie, can you answer live kind of the question about, is junior year too late to start a research or a passion project?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Research is one of those projects and pathways that is ambitious. It takes more time. It takes effort and energy and dedication from the student, oftentimes outside of their sessions. And so I think what's important about starting a research project in junior year is being realistic and planning ahead for what your expectations are for outcomes. So of course you can start a research project and build out a really quality end project. What's harder to guarantee, of course, uh, at this stage in the game is what publication outcomes could look like, applying to conferences and presentations. That's not something that we can guarantee, but what we can guarantee is matching you with a mentor who has extensive research experience. They know what it takes to bring a project from the ideation phase to execution, and can help set realistic goals on the timeline that you're working on.
Love it. Um, And Sophie, because you speak to a lot more parents on the day to day, can you also speak to the kind of background of, we work with a lot of immigrant families, so I love this comment, seeing it. It
Yeah.
definitely resonates, and I'm sure Sophie has this conversation a lot more than I do, so I'll let her speak to that
Yeah,
as well.
I speak with so many families that sound similar to your family, where the American college admissions system is just insane and so competitive. I think what's so beneficial about our program is that your student will be paired with a current college student who was recently very successful in the college admissions process and can really demystify what it means to get into college, apply to college, and be a college student. And so I'm excited for you to join us.
Love it. And yes, Preeti, to answer your question, we are a mentorship service. And so we work with students, and we try to prioritize kind of that like 6-month relationship. But it again could be 5 years. And then if you need more of that coaching or counseling, that's why we have amazing people like Opal, who are the coaching and counseling experts. Our mentors, what they're best suited to do is to help your kid explore an area of interest and turn their passion into a real project, and a real project with real outcomes and something tangible that you can actually see. But they are not licensed counselors. They are college students and grad students, but they're not professional counselors. Those credentials, the letters behind the names, go to people like Opal, and not to our amazing mentors. Any other questions we can answer? You have my undivided attention, Sophie's, and Opal's. We are here to help and would love to answer any other questions you all have. And you are welcome to put it in the chat, or you can unmute and ask it live. Totally up to you. Yes, I will let Sophie share the link to our pricing page in the chat. And if no one has any other questions, Opal, do you have any final parting words for us? And we can share a bunch of links in the chat. We will let Sophie share the link to sign up for a call, and I will share Opal's link if you want to learn more about her and her work. But any parting words, any language of invitation for parents who want to help their kids make 2026 the best year yet?
Just that um, before any sort of invitation, before any sort of um, correction, always connection. There has to be connection, and how the brain interprets connection is this safety, nervous system safety, where there is no perceived disappointment or judgment for the people that are impacting the child. So always starts from really great connected environment. Um, and kids don't really resist goals or suggestions or inspiration. Kids' natural resistance is really more biologically towards being managed or be feeling like they're managed or controlled. So if you are getting the response of resistance, you may want to kind of go take a step back, take a pause, and look within. What is it that has possibly set off that sort of response? And maybe start from scratch again.
Love it. Well, thank you all for joining us. I will stay on if anyone has any parting final questions for us. But we're so grateful that you shared your morning with us, and we would love to help find your kid a mentor and make 2026 the best year yet for them. And Paul, we're so grateful to have you join us this morning. And Sophie, thanks for joining as well. I hope everyone has a great Friday, a first full week of 2026. I hope everyone is doing well, and we would love to get you all started and work with your kid and make this the best year yet, whether they want to start a business or um, need to up their English mentorship or whatever they need. We are here to support.
Thank you.
Thank you all for joining us. Okay, well, I will end the Zoom, and I hope everyone has a great Friday.
Have a great weekend.
Bye.
So
Bye.
much. Nice to meet you.
Thanks.